The law component of the ADEMU project has studied two issues in particular. The first is what are the legal limits of making changes to the way in which economic and monetary union is governed. And we have discovered that there are two barriers. One is a barrier caused by European Union law, that is to say, what powers can we give to the European institutions to make changes. But the second and more important one is that governments and national constitutions themselves impose blockages to what kinds of reforms can be made. So, for example, a reform of the Portuguese pension systems requires not just approval by the EU, but also approval by the national government in Portugal. Or a reform on the economic governance of Ireland may require a constitutional referendum in Ireland itself to ensure that those changes are implemented. The second thing we've looked at are the limits of law itself in ensuring that member states of the Union comply with the economic guidelines that the European Commission puts forward on a regular basis. We've explored different ways in which the European Commission can force or suggest to member states how they may improve their economic performance, but these are very difficult to implement in practice. The European Stability Mechanism was designed in a hurry, in an emergency situation, so the prospects of it working well were not great. On the other hand, it has proven to be a successful way to restore the financial stability of a number of countries that have sought its assistance. It has, of course, worked together with a number of other efforts at the same time, in particular the work of the European Central Bank in creating liquidity in the markets. While the ESM has worked well, there have been two major problems. The first is that, as a condition of securing a loan from the European Stability Mechanism, countries have to make great sacrifices. They have to make significant changes in their economic policies, which leads to hardship, particularly for the less well-off. The difficulty here is that it's difficult to have any accountability mechanism to which to ask the ESM to account for its choices. And some of my colleagues have said that the difficulty here is that the way the ESM works is in a bit of a legal vacuum. That is to say, the individuals who suffer as a result of the austerity measures that are imposed have no legal recourse, whether at national level or at European level. From our perspective, the ESM should be reformed substantively rather than procedurally, in particular in two ways. The first is to render it more accountable and to render its operation more transparent. And this does not require any legal change in terms of transforming it from an international treaty to a European treaty. It just needs to be amended as an international treaty. And the second reform should be that the ESM or ESF should not just come into operation in emergency scenarios, but should also help member states transition from their current economic status to make the kinds of economic reforms that are necessary. And some sort of financial assistance from it as a carrot to encourage member states to make necessary economic reforms to make their economies more sustainable could be a welcome step forward.